I'm Jay, and today on Jay's World Kitchen, I'm going to show you how to make homemade pizza sauce. I'm a big fan of Italian food, and I really do like pizza. And let's face it, pizza places are a dime a dozen. You can pick up your phone and call a dozen places and they can come and deliver pizza to your house. But there's nothing quite like a homemade pizza, and particularly if you've made the sauce yourself as well. So in this recipe, I'm actually going to be using one of the quart jars of diced tomatoes that I made in a previous episode, and we're going to be using that for this amazing and very simple pizza sauce. Let's take a look at the ingredients. So before we get into the ingredients of this very simple sauce, let's talk a little bit about tomatoes. Now, traditionally, you should use San Marzano tomatoes. And I went searching and I found a couple of cans of it here and there, but I wasn't 100% sure of whether or not they were actually San Marzano tomatoes, because what they said is Italian tomatoes, and they didn't specify San Marzano. And I couldn't find any fresh San Marzano tomatoes here. So I have decided I'm using my very own diced tomatoes that I made a few weeks ago. And you can see that recipe if you hit the I button in the top of the video right now. So I'm going to be using diced canned Roma tomatoes because those are more plentiful here. You're also going to need a handful of fresh oregano leaves, some fresh basil leaves, 2 to 4 tablespoons of olive oil, 4 cloves or more of minced garlic, a half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes, a half a teaspoon of dry oregano, a half a teaspoon of dry basil, 1 teaspoon of salt, a half a tablespoon of sugar, and about 1/8 of a teaspoon or some freshly ground black pepper. It's pretty straightforward. Let's put this together. We're going to start off by getting some of our fresh, smells good, oregano, and we're just going to remove a bunch of the leaves from the stalks. I bought this nice little bunch at the local supermarket, and there's always some fresh herbs and things there. It really makes such a difference to any dish. And I've done about 4 stems worth, and you're just going to chop that up super fine. It doesn't have to be perfect by any means. Remember, we're not going for perfection here, we're going for flavor. And we're going to do exactly the same with some basil leaves that I've just picked off one of my plants. And if you don't grow fresh basil, you really should. The flavor is just quite out of this world. And just bunch them up and chop them up. Now, before I start putting this together, I will mention that there are countless recipes out there for pizza sauces. Some people say don't cook the tomatoes, some people say cook the tomatoes, some people say don't use a blender, some people say use a blender, some people bake in the oven to make it thicker. Whatever method you use, that's okay. This one is mine, and this is what I like to do because I do love the flavor of this, and I love how it sits on a pizza. So we're going to start off by tossing into our pan, a nice deep saucepan, some olive oil. And again, I didn't give a ton of measurements for olive oil because I really believe that it's a thing that you do by feel. We're going to turn that up and just let that start to heat before we add in our garlic. And once our oil is slightly warmed, we're going to toss in our garlic. And we really don't want it to brown, we just want to sort of heat it up and get it slightly aromatic. And right away we're going to throw in our basil and our oregano. And you can just straight away smell those coming to the fore. Just for a minute or two. You may need to add a little bit more olive oil because you want to make sure that this doesn't dry out. Now, of course, there's probably a little bit more than just my 4 cloves of garlic in there because you know how I am with garlic. And fresh is definitely best. And we're going to also now add in our dried oregano, our dried basil, and our red pepper flakes. And you can adjust the red pepper flakes to your taste. I don't like it particularly spicy. This will give it a slight spice to it, and just mix that up a bit. And you want to turn the heat down to as low as you possibly can, because now we're going to quickly prepare our tomatoes. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up a can of tomatoes, whether you've canned them yourself or whether you've got store-bought whole tomatoes or diced tomatoes. You could use either, but we're using the diced tomatoes that I did in a previous episode. And you're simply going to put them into a bowl and crush them by hand until they're ready. And our herbs and garlic are just ready now to pour in our sauce. Give that a good stir. And at this point, we're going to add in our sugar, our salts, and our little bit of black pepper, and bring that all to a boil, at which point we are going to leave it to simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. And you can see our sauce is coming together quite nicely. It's thickening up and probably reduced the liquid by about half. And the nice thing about this sauce is that it cans really well. So you can pop this into cans and can it to put in your pantry, or of course you can use it on a fresh pizza right away. We're just going to give this a taste in a moment. So right now, the entire house smells like an Italian restaurant. The aroma of basil and oregano and tomatoes is just amazing in the air, and I can't wait to taste this sauce and make pizza. But for now, let's just give this a taste. Oh man, that's going to be so good on a pizza. The tomato is nice and bold. And I can taste the garlic in there. That oregano and basil mix is just amazing. Wow, you've got to try this. I'm definitely going to be canning some of this to use at a later date, but I'll definitely be making pizza tonight. This is just amazing. You've got to try this. And if you do, please remember to leave a comment down below that lets me know what you thought of this recipe. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and remember to turn on notifications so that you know when my next video drops. Remember too that you can follow me on my social media, both my Facebook and my Instagram. Those links are below in the comments section as well. Remember too that if you'd like to financially support this channel, you can do so at Patreon. My patrons on Patreon receive these recipes every week in their inbox when the video drops. Thank you so much again for watching, and join me next time when I use this sauce on homemade pizza.